are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
This is Judge, guys. Judge. This is our second. Welcome to our second Judge of the night.
It has begun!
It has begun. You are right. You are correct. We have our newest case here in the courtroom, ladies and gentlemen. Order in the court. Order in the court. I know you guys do not have your streams.
Good luck.
I know you guys don't have your streams on, but...
Hello? Good afternoon. Tell me your name.
I am Stone Free and I am representing Street Fighter.
Okay, Ryan G.
Tell me your name.
Tell me your name.
I'm Ryan G, and I am representing Mortal Kombat.
Okay, Stone Free.
I want you to speak
Stone Free, I'll let you
slowly,
open.
speak
I believe
clearly,
that's how it works if you're on the
so
line.
that I can understand you.
Alright, so I wanted to represent Street Fighter because I think it's honestly a little better in some ways. And I feel like it has more what's the word? More passion put into it, per se. For many other reasons than just being a fighting game. It has more character, but there are some things in Mortal Kombat that are good, but I think Street Fighter does it way better. And I will be telling how it is better throughout this whole argument. And how there are more things to look for in Street Fighter than there are to Mortal Kombat. And more representation of the franchise.
Okay. So that's Stone's opening case. Opening words. Ryan, what do you have to say?
I didn't know I was going to be put on the Mortal Kombat side, but I'm going to wing it here. Personally, I grew up with both games. When I was young, Street Fighter came out in 1987, and I liked it. But then Mortal Kombat was released in 1992 when I was about to hit my teenage years, and it brought up it was one of the games to introduce true blood and gore and interaction and trying to figure out how to do that finisher and bring out that enthusiasm to try to figure out stuff and figure out combinations and after you're done with the fight, figure out a combination to finish them off, to do that bibality, to increase. They gave you the fatality, the bibality, the friendship, all these new things you could do to make the game even more interesting and more interactive.
Okay.
It's like Street Fighter, since I gave the years they came out, 87 for Street Fighter and 92 for Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's just like the little brother that did better.
All right, Poof, take care. Thanks for participating in the court event. Have a good night.
And let's start it there with. Now, I'm going to turn over to Street Fighter and let him give his opening argument on why Street Fighter is better or a little better, or however he wants to argue this.
All right, Street Fighter, you want to take it away?
All right. First thing I want to mention is that I feel like Street Fighter is more recognizable.
You can't dance fast enough for me. Do you understand?
For, well, two reasons. One, it gets way more advertisement through the company Capcom, which I think it's a really big company. Wait, no, it's not Capcom. What's that? Wait, no.
No, you are correct. Street Fighter
You're
is
correct.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's Capcom.
Okay. Anyway, it is Capcom, and it's a big company producing Pac-Man, Mega Man, and Ace Attorney. I don't think Capcom produces Pac-Man. Not gonna lie,
That was
Atari.
Namco. That was Namco.
Well, that's Namco.
You got to get your facts straight, Street Fighter. Street Fighter, you're losing.
My point being is that Street Fighter is owned by a bigger company, therefore getting more representation and more.
If you interrupt me again, it's not going to go well.
This can even be seen in Smash Bros. 2 Street Fighter characters got in Smash Bros. And Mortal Kombat has not gotten one representation, showing which one is more favoritized by pretty much the whole gaming industry.
Street Fighter, I just want to interrupt for a second here. If you do need assistance, you do need to call anyone for assistance. Blue is willing to lend a hand if you need help. Just to let you know, if you need to call somebody down for help, Blue is there for you. All
right.
Keep going.
Now, my second reason on why I think Street Fighter is better is that it doesn't need to rely on blood and gore to be cool. It doesn't need to rely on any of that because the characters, the settings, the music, everything, it just does. It just makes it cool. You don't need to have someone ripping out her heart to make it badass. It can just be just a character that's really recognizable to just do something cool. It doesn't matter. You're still punching things. You're still doing combos. You're still doing the thing. It's just less blood and violence. And I think that opens up to a large audience where anyone can play and even kids can play because there's not really much. It's more cartoon violence than actual violence. So it's more open. It's more like...
That's fair. I try to be a fair person.
Character, unlike Mortal Kombat, it's just more like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna rip your spine and shove it up your asshole. Well, Street Fighter's like, I'm gonna kick your ass and I'm gonna have fun, you know? I feel like there's more fun in Street Fighter. Well, Mortal Kombat's just more like dark. And I think Street Fighter appeals to more people. And I think it just has more character. Plus, what can you, like, say? Let's just say we take a random character from Street Fighter and a random character from Mortal Kombat. Which one do you think looks more interesting? Because most of the Mortal Kombat characters, they kind of look a little bit the same in terms of design because there's not really any proportions. The only thing different is just color. And like little bit of like detail in the clothing. While in Street Fighter, there's more unique designs and more like care put into it. But the only thing different that is recognizable in Mortal Kombat is the movesets, which I don't think really makes a good game what it is, because you can have a fighting game with the same looking characters, as opposed to a fighting game with different unique characters and their own like character, and just like it can make a difference. So
all right.
I also think what?
Oh, I was just saying, I thought you were done. I was going to pass it over to Mortal Kombat, but if you still have something else to say, go ahead.
Okay, I have one more thing to say.
You're a bum.
Oh, wait. We just have someone in the audience yelling that you're a bum. You wanna respond to that? Someone in the jury just called you a bum, Street Fighter?
I am not a bum. You're the bum.
Oh, okay. Now that we've settled that, you can continue.
And one more thing I like to mention is that Street Fighter, you don't need to buy it to play it. You can go to an arcade somewhere and probably find a Street Fighter like arcade. That's how accessible it is. Not because of the characters and how they can appeal to anyone. You can find it anywhere in your... It can even be in a mall, probably, where there's an arcade. You can find it. I don't really think there's that many Mortal Kombat arcades because, it's pretty violent. So I think Street Fighter is just better because it's just more accessible in general.
Someone wants you to apologize for calling a jury member a bum, Stone.
I am sorry. It was just a comeback.
Stone is sorry.
That's my argument.
All right.
If you interrupt me again, it's not going to go well.
Exactly. It's not going to go well if you interrupt me again. Okay. Mortal Kombat. Would you like to give your rebuttal now?
Yeah. when you said recognizability in selling, right now, as it stands, Mortal Kombat is the highest selling fighting game. Then it's Tekken after that, and then Street Fighter comes in third.
Mortal Kombat, we just have someone in the chat yelled, "You're an idiot."
You can call me an idiot all you want, but I'm stating facts. Mortal Kombat is the highest selling fighting game.
Finish him.
Where Street Fighter does come in third. So if you want to say I'm an idiot, you can fact check me all you want. Go right ahead. I don't care. I'm just giving my argument on the side of Mortal Kombat.
Continue.
Anyway, to reboot the arcade. Yes, Street Fighter started off as an arcade game, but here's a fun
Listen
fact
to
for
me.
you.
I think that you
So
have
did
a
Mortal
problem,
Kombat.
and your
Mortal
problem
Kombat
is
was
that
also
you're
an
either
arcade
trying
game.
to play dumb or you are dumb.
And trying to figure out all the combinations on that was a little bit more difficult, but you could find Mortal Kombat in any arcade. I grew up in the age of arcades, and you basically saw Street Fighter art. You saw either there was Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and all that in arcades, and I still believe they have them today. I've seen them at the Mall of America. So when it comes to arcade, your arcade fact, I'm sorry, but
I don't
there were
understand
votes for
your
Mortal
English.
Kombat. I'm rebuttaling that right now.
You might need to speak a little bit better. The jury cannot understand what you're saying, apparently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They don't understand your English. They think you're speaking a different language right now.
I will repeat what I said. Where Street Fighter said, oh, that they had Street Fighters in arcades. They did with Mortal Kombat too. Mortal Kombat also. And I also, and because I played those in the arcades all the time back in the mid 90s, or mid to late 90s, because like I said, Mortal Kombat didn't get released till 1992. It is the younger brother of Street Fighter. And there are so many notable characters with Mortal Kombat. Also, I mean, if you say Scorpion or Sub-Zero, you're going to instantly hit someone's buttons. Yeah, I know you could rebuttal that where you could say Blanca or Kano or something, but that doesn't. Now, as the blood and gore part of it, I'm not going to say realistic, because I don't think there's no human alive physically strong enough to put their hand through someone's chest and get through the rib cage, and get that. It's the violence of it which makes it appeal to an older generation, to the older people. I shouldn't say generation. That's a bad term. Where
I don't believe a word you say. You're full of baloney.
Let loose and just do. Because video games is not about stuff you can do. Video games is stuff you want to do. You wish you could do, but you don't. And it gives you more of a interaction. Like I was saying earlier in my opening statement, Mortal Kombat, I feel, gives you more interaction because you have to learn the combinations, learn how to, and after you've already learned all these combinations for just the fighting itself, when you hear those two words, finish him. In some games, they had the bality and the friendship in the fatality. In some games, it was fatality 1, fatality 2. Learning how to do those, either looking them up or talking to your friends on the playground on how to do them, and learn how to do them. And when you finally execute them, it gives you that great feeling like, yeah, I pulled it off. It doesn't matter if it's the fatality or the babality where you turn someone into a baby again. Even though it's fun to do, it's that feeling of pulling off that combination in that short time period.
Chat's scared right now, Ryan G. The jury's a little scared. Peebs is frightened. He's shaking his boots. Blueberry thinks that you want to rip their hearts out now.
I don't want to rip anybody's hearts out. It's just when you've had a bad day at work, at school, wherever you are at life, it's like you can go to Mortal Kombat and you can just mess somebody up like you can't do in real life, and you get to just have that release. I personally do like I said, it's the interaction where you get to learn all these move sets. Plus, you have to be able to punch off a move set afterwards and get all that integration and that stress relief out.
I got a question here for Mortal Kombat.
Go ahead.
Could you not get that same high that you're describing from playing a fighting game that you could from Street Fighter?
Yes, and I want to say yes and no, because once you get the win in Street Fighter, once they run out of health and they go, they're down, that's it. You don't get to try to do a finishing move where you don't necessarily kill anyone. That's not the point. It's like if they gave you something after where they're like in Mortal Kombat, when they say finish them, just something where you do something funny to them, and you were able to execute that hard ass combination that gives you that feeling. So that's where I say no. But yeah, you can also get a little bit of it from just winning. It's just, it feels like you won even more when you did that, is my argument.
Okay, so we're going to conclude the opening arguments here. Now, what we're going to move on to, you guys are going to ask each other questions if you want now, and then we're going to open up the jury to ask you guys questions. So right now, Street Fighter, do you have any questions for Mortal Kombat?
Okay, so do you think Mortal Kombat has the same amount of like you can remember it as Street Fighter? Do you think they are the same when it comes to remembrance among everyone?
We have an objection from Peebs. Peebs, what are you objecting to?
I want you to answer my question.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Mortal Kombat, answer the question.
Thank you. I wanted to answer the question, but I heard there was an objection. I think both games hold a spot for everybody, to be honest. But I think Mortal Kombat's got that more knowledgeable. More people know it. A lot of people know Street Fighter. A lot of people know that too. I'm not saying that they don't. It's just Mortal Kombat is the top-selling franchise game of all time, where Street Fighter is number 3. So
that's going off statistics, though. That's the thing. It's not going off of everyone. It's just going off money.
And money makes the world go round, but I digress. Statistically, more people go toward Mortal Kombat because it's more recognizable to them, and it's more, and the game seems like it's following. I'm going to ask you a question to give you a chance to rebuttal it. What is the last Street Fighter game you remember being made?
Well, I mean, recently Street Fighter 6 came out, but other than that, I think it's been like a hot minute actually since they revived it for Street Fighter 6 on the new consoles. Yeah. So I think they're trying to like post it out more. Really, it's not like they haven't in a while, but it's like some games that have that problem. And when they do get that, that new game in a while, they just go farther in the industry, I say, because Street Fighter 6 is amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
I haven't gotten a chance to play it myself. That's why I asked, because with Mortal Kombat, I was looking on the eShop right now. Even Nintendo, family-friendly Nintendo, has Mortal Kombat, because I was looking on the eShop and I saw Mortal Kombat 11 on sale for $10, which I wish I had, but that's neither here nor there.
Apparently the Mortal Kombat on Switch is just absolute dog shit. When that game got released,
Yes.
I heard the internet was just tearing it apart, and that's a perfect example of a game that I don't think should have released on Switch. I know it's nice to see like franchises branching out to Switch, but I don't think the Switch has the processing power to handle stuff like that, unfortunately. They should have probably waited for their new console, but that's neither here nor there. Blueberry from
And with
chat
that
says
being
Mortal
said-
Kombat on Switch sucks. Okay, Mortal Kombat, do you have any other questions for Street Fighter? We're gonna open it up to the jury otherwise.
I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna have just one fun question for Street Fighter, and he can ask me the same question. I'm gonna say, I want to see if you can do this, because some people, if they favor a game, can't do it. I want you to tell me your three favorite characters from Street Fighter and three favorite characters from Mortal Kombat. Both games.
Ooh,
There's a
okay.
point to this, MB.
Probably Guile, Chun-Li, and Cammy. And for Mortal Kombat, it's Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and that's literally all the Mortal Kombat characters I know. I don't know any other ones, to be honest. I only know Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Sorry, can you repeat your I'm writing this down. Can you repeat your Street Fighter favorites again?
Guile, Chun-Li, and Cammy.
Okay. And your Scorpion and Sub-Zero, you said?
Yeah, I don't know any other ones, to be honest.
Okay.
Their names are not really memorable, in my opinion.
Different Street Fighters. My favorite would be Blanca, Kao, and God, now I can't think of her name. She kind of has the buns on her head and does. Where is that?
That's Chun-Li.
Chun-Li. Thank you.
What was your other character? Blanca, Chun-Li, and who?
Ken. And Mortal Kombat, that's easy for me. Raiden, because of the electric power. That's kind of why I favor Scorpion. And for a third one, it's a toss-up between fighting as Kung Lao or Sonya Blade. So I kind of got four, but the third has got the toss-up for that. The reason I asked is just like that. It's like I had trouble naming off my third character because I couldn't remember her name, but she is my favorite because I was able to fight well with her. But with Mortal Kombat, I can name off my characters easier. It's with video games. Video games are subjective. Some people are a huge fan of one set of games. It would be like debate for me. It would be like debating Mario versus Zelda, Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. Well, no, that's different consoles. I'm trying to keep it to the same console.
Okay, let's open the questions to the jury. Unless you guys seem to be handling your own arguments well, I don't feel like you need to call any witnesses.
Do you think I can call Blue?
You want to call a witness? Okay, so you are
Blue.
Blue. You're being called down to represent Street Fighter. If you want to come into the chat quickly.
I understand that, P. I was making a point.
Blue, you're being called down. Please report to the podium to speak. While we're waiting for Blue to come down, Wise Wizard has a question for both members.
Oh wait, there's Blue.
There's Blue. Okay, we'll get to that question in just a second. Stone, what did you need help with Blue from here?
Well, I mean, they said they could help me, so I was wondering what they had to say.
All right, so I can interject now. All right, so let's take the history of both Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, for instance. Yes, Mortal Kombat had success in the arcade. However, it had no longevity in the fighting game community. If we look at the stats of the EVO Championship, which is the the premier fighting game series, we can see that since its inception, there has been a Street Fighter entry in each year, and it did not take. And this was in 2002. It did not take Evo until 2011 to feature a Mortal Kombat game. And even prior to this, no Mortal Kombat game has ever, from the 90s, has ever shown up in any fighting game tournament because they are nigh unplayable. They're very bad. Whereas with Street Fighter 2, and Super Street Fighter, Street Fighter 3, and Street Fighter Alpha 2, and Street Fighter Alpha 3 have all been normals in the fighting game scene. Also, Mortal Kombat was originally from Midway Entertainment. However, because of their poor finances and their really terrible games, they ended up being bought by another company, which I forgot their name. It's on Midway. It is now, let me look this up, NetherRealm. So, and again, this was their first game was in 2011, and that was the first game they deemed tournament ready or tournament able. Oh, and what else can I add? So yeah, that was just one thing. Do we have a rebuttal for that, Mr. Ryan? Also, Chun-Li sucks.
Mortal Kombat, do you have a rebuttal to what the witness is saying, or do you have a witness of your own that you need to call to the stage?
Unfortunate. I do. Yeah, tournaments are fine and dandy, but
Yeah, I understand, but Street Fighter also had a 5-year advantage over Mortal Kombat. But with all that, I don't know how to argue this one. I'm trying to think of I'm trying not to word this wrong.
Ho ho ho.
But and I've said this already. 87, 92. Street Fighter came out 5 years before. They had a head start. So of course they're gonna have tournaments and stuff. But you gotta take back into account parents were outraged with Mortal Kombat because of how violent it was. They broke the Mortal Kombat broke the barriers of, oh, we just punch and punch and punch till somebody's down and that's it. Where you could cause blood spatter, you can cause chaos in. God damn, I'm trying to think of how many Mortal Kombat games are out there. I think there are more Mortal Kombat games out there. The last one I saw was 11, but I think there is a 12 out there. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to...
Nah, there's no 12.
I didn't even realize there's 11 Mortal Kombats out there. Like, it doesn't even feel like there's that many.
Oh, there's more than that. There's your branch one. There's your 64 Sub-Zero ones.
Are they counting those sub-branches into the numbers, though? Like...
Yeah.
Oh.
And, well, I that's a bad example. Even I can't defend the Sub-Zero game. That one was a stinker.
That was horrible.
I personally did not like the first Street Fighter game, to be honest. I liked Blanca. That's the only character I would play as with my friends. I would either play with Blanca, Ken, or
Goose says after 11, the timeline just restarted, and now there's just Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Goose. You know what? Goose, are you willing to come into the VC and help me out here as a witness?
I haven't gotten a chance to play MK1 yet.
Okay, Goose, you might be getting called down to... Would you like to represent Ryan? Do you have anything to say?
Thank God somebody actually had some.
While we wait, I like to bring up the fact that you brought up the 64 games, which have been considered bad by critics, and what other Street Fighter game has been considered bad by critics? I don't think any of them really have.
there's been some pretty stinkers. Street Fighter 3, all those Street Fighter 3s have been absolutely horrendous.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with the judge here. I'm going to object to the judge. The Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is considered one of the definitive fighting games for its for how well the mechanics and what is it called? The mechanics and the controls are. It is considered one of the top tier in fighting games. In fact, in Evo 2024, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is still being played and being used in the tournament scene because of how impactful it is.
I have a question. I have a question. Why is it that in media, Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 4 are always the ones that people think of, and they always skip over 3? Like 3 never really comes to mind.
5 was really the bad one.
Well, Street Fighter 2 is the originator. It is the so it is what all franchises had emulated in because of how impactful it was to the fighting game scene in the 90s. Everyone wanted their crack at Street Fighter. So it's like saying, well, why is Super Mario 1 really popular? It's because it was the originator. It's what all those games wanted to be next. As for Street Fighter 4, the fighting game franchise had, like, after the end of the arcade, and as it approached the 2000s, the fighting game scene and everything had nearly diminished. So Street Fighter 4 was the first. And okay, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Street Fighter 3 came out at the end of the arcade scene. It wasn't just, and that's predominantly where all the fighting games were. So many people weren't able to experience Street Fighter 3, and also Capcom had kind of screwed the pooch, so to speak, when Street Fighter 3 came out because they wanted to open the franchise, but they had forgotten that many of the popularity of Street Fighter 3 came from its characters. So the only 2 returning characters were Ryu and Ken. And it wasn't until Street Fighter 3 Third Strike where Chun-Li was brought back, who is a fan favorite. And since then, Capcom has known better, that they will not make another fighting game without Ryu and Chun-Li at the very least. As for Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4 was the renaissance of the fighting game scene, because there had been not really any fighting games at that point. Even Capcom had nearly given up. So when Street Fighter 4 came out, fans jumped to it, which then that kind of surged in popularity. Its revival brought back many old favorites, like the original Street Fighter 2, as I mentioned, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and etc. So that is where we are.
What about Street Fighter? What about Street Fighter 5?
Street Fighter 5 was there was some unfortunateness in the beginning. It was so one must understand.
I didn't want to pull that one out of my hat, but a lot of the 64 Mortal Kombat games I loved, so except for the Sub-Zero one.
So Street Fighter 5 at release was a very bare bones release, because Capcom had decided that they wanted to do a new type of mechanic, let's just say, when it came to the series. And unfortunately, not many people understood that. And Capcom is also notoriously for being making really bizarre decisions like this, and also kind of milking their people. So they thought that they could cash in on Street Fighter 4's success by making a bare bones game with mini microtransactions. I mean, that's what it was. But the alternative was that it was more like a like sort of like a season pass type of thing. Like you're supposed to play repeatedly until you unlock things. It wasn't towards the end of the Street Fighter V, before Street Fighter 6, when it finally became when people actually said that this is actually a pretty decent game. But it didn't take until, I don't know, like several seasons before like it started picking up again. And it looks like Capcom's making a mistake with Street Fighter 6, but we're just gonna ignore that.
Okay. Before we move on to questions from the jury, I just want to ask quickly. I wanna ask Street Fighter about what they think of Street Fighter 2010.
Don't I know I stole this from you. If you wanna, I don't know if you want to do that.
I haven't played Street Fighter 2010, so I think you have the better hand here, Blue.
So Street Fighter, I'm sorry, I just had a chance to jump. All right. So Street Fighter 2010 is not officially part of the Street Fighter canon. It was made specific. Oh wait, I just thought of an argument from back then. Made specifically for the American audience, which is why none of the mechanics or anything is anything similar to Street Fighter. They wanted to cash in on the name. And yeah, it was a very terrible mistake, and they try to bury it as much as possible, saying that this isn't the franchise. So there we go.
Mortal Kombat, I want to ask you about Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero.
The one Mortal Kombat game I didn't like. Ouch. What's your question?
What do you have to say about the game in correlation to the franchise?
It's part of the franchise, yes, but they took all it is basically you go fight when you're as Sub-Zero the whole time. It's as much as I like Sub-Zero, he's not one of my top 3 favorite characters. I didn't enjoy the game. It's like I said earlier, it is the one game, Mortal Kombat game, I didn't enjoy. That's why I brought up Street Fighter V, because I knew the whole microtransaction part would come out. Sorry, Blue. I had to hit Blue and Stonefree. I had to go below the belt because the 64 Mortal Kombats I absolutely loved, except for that game. I cannot defend that game. I just can't.
Okay.
Because it didn't stick to the basic storyline. Is you're trying to save the world from getting taken over from Outworld in a combat where you get several different storylines when you beat with different characters. All it is you're fighting as one person, and that was just not enjoyable to me. So,
all right, we're going to open up questions from the jury. I know we had a few questions that we didn't get to yet. If those that asked questions could repeat their questions again, I do apologize.
Goose President wants to join if he can get the Discord link.
Wizard says, I have a question for both members. I am somebody who likes to play single player on these games because I'm not a competitive fighting game player. Why is your game better to play for a solo player, and why? Mortal Kombat, do you want to go first?
Sure. The reason I like Mortal Kombat games is they always change, they always add new fatalities, all that. But what I like about it the most is they always come up with a new storyline. I love storyline based games, and I feel like Mortal Kombat gave you a storyline for pretty much every game, and you would get a cutscene for each character you'd win the tournament as, good or bad. Whereas Street Fighter, I didn't feel like that. It didn't give me that feeling because I don't remember cutscenes or stuff from that. That's one thing I like is I love a game with a storyline behind it too. I should have used that in my original argument, but I want to say it now since you asked the question. I'm a storyline driven person. I love games with a storyline. Where if it's a game where it's just you fight each other and that's it, that just doesn't appeal to me. Because those kind of games seem like a dime dozen to me.
Okay, Street Fighter, you want to answer the same question?
Yeah, so I think Street Fighter is a good solo player game because it's kind of like a gauntlet sometimes, and you get to pick where you get to go, and it's somewhat of a challenge too, because you like get different character stages. It's always different every time when you go to a different place to fight someone, and the music's always different. It's like you're dropped into an environment, and it's like it's kind of like. I don't know, but like you get like an experience kind of when you like go into the levels in like the older Street Fighter games, and the new ones they do have cutscenes, but not as much as Mortal Kombat did. But even then, it just had an environment and just I think it did really well on the design of nearly every stage and level that Street Fighter has. And I think there's a lot of love put into it. Like it's very distinctive, especially Guile's theme. That is like the most iconic thing in Street Fighter, and it's because of the stage, and it's for the solo play too. So you get to find it there. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Any other questions from the jury? Sorry, Blue? Is that you?
I can also add to that.
Go ahead.
Street Fighter storyline. All right. So, the original Street Fighter 2 series, I'm assuming this is what Mr. Ryan G is talking about during for a lack of a storyline, and that is true. The primitive Street Fighter 2 is very in terms of story is very primitive. A lot of that is written in the back, and you don't really see much of it until even with an ending, it's just like a picture and some story. However, starting from the next franchise, Capcom decided to build upon their story even more. Before the fighting happens, when you take a character through the story mode, you get a brief description of the settings before that. While you're challenging, you'll have different challengers coming in and interacting with your character. And yes, this is even in the 2D games that happen in Street. And as you make it to the franchise, as you make it down the turning, depending on how well you play, you can even encounter your final boss will be different. One more kind of a generic boss, aka M Bison, but another one that's more related to your character. And this type of storyline will continue into Street Fighter 3, and then when Street Fighter 4 came out, you get the same thing, but they added animated cutscenes in both the prologue and the ending, and they've also included the addition of kind of like an external expanded what do you call it? Expanded medium. So they have a movie that takes place before the games even start to kind of hype you up for what's going to be happening in the games. Street Fighter 5 and 6 have their own story mode to play. So to say that there is no story mode in Street Fighter is a grossly incorrect statement. And to answer Mr. Wizard's question, actually I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. All right, we'll cut it at the story part.
I answered the question, but you didn't need to do it for me.
Okay, chat, jury, is there any other questions that you have for either of them? If not...
But Goose asked which game has the more balanced characters?
Street Fighter, no doubt.
I have a question
Mortal
for both
Kombat,
of you.
yeah.
Which of the games do you think have most battle characters? Okay. Well,
I would like to throw something on top.
Mortal Kombat, would you like to give any final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts is with the newer Mortal Kombats. I'm talking like the newer generation where I like the fact that they integrated movie characters. I want to get a PS5 so I could get a Mortal Kombat game so I can fight as like the Terminator and all them and Freddy Krueger. But I think Freddy Krueger was actually in like the PS4 version. And one of my biggest gripes with Street Fighter was it always felt like the controls were too tight and the movements were just not there where the newer Mortal Kombats, it felt like the gameplay was more fluid. It didn't feel like it had clunky controlling. I know you guys are going to probably rebut and say, well, that too, but personally, even with the newer consoles, as old as I am, it still gives me that comfortable feeling. Heck, one of the games that got a lot of hate from them, I don't know if you want to consider Mortal Kombat is owned by Warner Brothers, and so is DC. Was a game that got a lot of hate was Mortal Kombat versus DC. I personally liked it. I didn't mind that they took the blood out because they gave you two different storylines. You had your DC storyline and your Mortal Kombat storyline, and I liked that. So getting rid of the blood didn't really bother me that much. I enjoy Mortal Kombat because there's just feels like you're trying to learn how to do more. You learn how to do stuff. The gameplay flows better for me. Personally, I'm throwing a little bit of my own personal in there because with like any good debate, you have to have some of your own facts and personal experiences with it. And my personal experiences with Street Fighter is I always struggled with the controlling, and the only thing I could really do was with Blanca was do that electric shock thing to win a game. Whereas Mortal Kombat, I could win with almost any character. And sorry, Blue, your personal favorite Mortal Kombat character, I could not win with a lot. I had a hell of a time getting her ending, especially in Deadly Alliance.
Street Fighter, do you have any final things that you would like to say?
Yes. So, overall, I just think Street Fighter is a game that anyone can pick up and have a good, fun challenge. No matter what demographic you are, you can have fun with it. And there's just fun characters to go along with it. And anyone can enjoy it. And no matter how challenging it may be, it's still fun at the end of the day. Because you're still looking at just wonderful art. And just listening to the nice music that they put in there. And I just think it's a well-crafted game that is loved by many people.
All right, perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the argument there. While we're waiting for our jury to come to a conclusion, let's hear from a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know it's Halloween weekend? It's not Halloween weekend. What are you talking about, Judge Manburning? You're on drugs. It's Easter weekend. And that means Easter candy. Don't forget to buy your Easter candy for all the little kids, guys. All the little boys and girls, because it's Easter weekend. So make sure you're buying those yummy, yummy, yummy jelly eggs for them, because they're going to want to be finding them this weekend, because it's Easter weekend after all. I had some Easter eggs here. I don't know what I did with them. Here we go. Look, I got some Easter eggs. You can put your jelly beans in the Easter eggs and hide them around the house, believe it or not. Yes! Easter eggs available at the dollar store right now for $1.25. Go get them right now while you can, ladies and gentlemen. Back to our show.
How many ads are you going to do in this?
I do feel like Stone and Blueberry came with a stronger argument. I
agree. I couldn't get a witness.
Yeah, I feel like Street Fighter does take the win here. Even though Street Fighter did lose a point for writing, Stonefree wrote blue as in B-L-U-E in chat instead of B-L-U.
He should lose another point for thinking Pac-Man was part of.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, the reason I
called-
thought that is because I thought
It's
Capcom
Namco,
had
by
the-
the way.
You do gain quite a bit of points for having Cammy as one of your favorite characters, though. Cammy is extremely hot.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna dismiss this case. Case dismissed. Street Fighter takes the dub. Boom, boom, boom. Ryan, you spent too much time rambling about your own personal opinion rather than making objective points, and that is why Mortal Kombat is better. Boom, 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 boom. Street Fighter wins. Ryan, you're not going to like your punishment. Your punishment is on your next stream, you have to play Street Fighter 2 on the hardest difficulty and beat it.
I do that. Oh, wait.
That is it. Case dismissed. Pardon me?